I'm going to talk about setting up submixes within Logic 9. My mixing changed completely when I discovered submixes. It's a way of grouping sets of channel strips so that they can be processed at the same time, which means you can use one fader to control all your guitars or your drums or your background vocals. It also allows you to do parallel effects, which will save you a lot of CPU overhead and get you a more natural sound by using only one reverb for a group of instruments, for example. So here I've created a very basic sample project using stock plugins with some vocal tracks, guitar tracks, bass, a couple drum tracks, and pad. In Logic, there are a couple ways to set up a submix. The quick and dirty way is to select a group of channel strips in your mixer view, then route the output to one of the buses. There are 64 buses already available, and once you select the bus, Logic automatically creates an aux track with the default output, which you can then rename right in the mixer, just by clicking on the name. So I'll do that for the guitar tracks, and then for the drums. Notice that at each time I select a group and reroute the audio output, it creates a new aux track with that bus name. And each one of those aux tracks then still goes to the default output 1, 2, which is a stereo output. Now, to make a more permanent routing setup that won't be lost when you change projects, go to Options, Audio, I/O Labels, and you'll see all the buses here with their names as defaults. You can just change those to whatever you want, and they'll be there for the next project. In this case, we'll do what we did before: vocal sub for bus 1, guitar sub for bus 2, drum sub for bus 3. And now you'll see when we close this window and go to our mixing board, and we select the outputs just like we did before. Of course, this time I'm going to color code them because I like to do that. When we select the I/O summons, look, there's vocal sub, sets up the aux tracks for us. Guitar sub is right there to select from. It's really the same thing, it's just named nicely. Now we do the drum sub, coloring as I go. Each one makes a new aux track. Notice the aux tracks still have to be named, which is one of the reasons I like to color code them so I can see everything at a glance. I know what goes where. It just makes my workflow better. And as you probably found out by now, anything you can do that makes your workflow easier and faster is a good thing. Now we're going to take a look at a real project with lots of tracks, and as an example of how I've used submixes here, we have not only submixes for guitars and drums and cymbals and all of the aux sends, but we also have everything routed to vocals and to music so that we can just have a lot of flexibility over how we mix things here. Just playing with the guitar levels. We'll check out the drum levels. So I'd like to point out that you have to do some work to make sure that the levels are all stable before you route them to a sub that you can modify all at once, but it sure makes things easier once you do. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps.